Hey polish fans, it's Caroline again and welcome to another video here at Wildflower Lacquer. In today's video, as you can see, we have quite a lot of polish that I'm going to try and haul all in one video. As I mentioned in a few of my other videos recently, I am quite behind with my hauls, so I have a number of hauls from Polish Pickup going all the way back to April. And I've got Polish Pickup Rewind, which is actually the caps of the bottles that you're seeing down there. I also have a couple of other months in between, as well as a few random hauls. So we have a lot to look at. I'm just going to give you a quick overview of what we're talking about. So here we have my workstation, and as you can see, it is just covered with polish, mostly, like I said, Polish Pickup months. We have April, May, June, and then July is Polish Pickup Rewind here. So let's dig in. All right, so the first month that we're going to look at for Polish Pickup is April, and the first one is All Mixed Up Lacquers. This one is called Flowers Die by Me Polish, and the theme for that month was Flower Power. So we're going to have a lot of flower themed or garden themed polishes. So this one is a beautiful shimmer polish in a very light dusty purple base. You've got this shimmer that goes from predominant gold across the face of the bottle, at least from my angle. You're seeing that red flash with some gold at the edges, and then there is some green showing up there at the edge of the bottle from both your angle and my angle, so that's going to show at extreme angles. There's also a bit of an orange shift in between the red and the gold, so there's lots of beautiful shimmer in here. I really love the size of the particles of this one as well. This one was a must grab for that month. So here's that one in 3 coats with a glossy top coat. This one does still have kind of a squishy look on the nail because it is a shimmer polish. You don't want to drown out any of those particles, but I like how it ends up looking on the nail. You get that very soft, delicate purple haze around the edges, and then you get that amazing shifting glow on the face of the nail. That's where you're going to see all of those beautiful shifts depending on the lighting. So that first one was All Mixed Up Lacquers, Flowers Die by Me Polish. The next polish comes from Lacquer, and this one is Orchid. This one was another must grab for the month. I absolutely love this kind of color. You have this dusty Tiffany box blue that has a pinch of a green to it. You've got these very bright neon pink matte glitters, and then these gorgeous iridescent flakies. This is a stunning combination. I think this is perfect for the summer, although I had it sitting in my unopened packages, so I didn't get a chance to wear it this season, but I will try to put it on my summer rack next year. I'm already trying to get together my fall nail polish rack because around here in the Pacific Northwest, we are getting some really beautiful like early fall weather intermixed with some of the hotter summer days. So I think I'm phasing out of my summer colors as of the last week or so, but this is a gorgeous one. Cannot wait to wear it next summer. And here it is in 3 coats with a glossy top coat. I will say this one is a bit on the thirsty side. I would probably end up using a glitter smoother and then a glossy top coat when I wear this one. But I love how much of the glitter you're seeing. I didn't have to fish any of that out or anything, and I love it contrasted against this beautiful base. So that one was Lacquer's Orchid. Next up, we have one from Bee's Knees Lacquer. This one is Belladonna Berries, and this one is one of their beautiful larger particled shimmers in a blackened base. You have this very deep vampy look on the nail. You're predominantly seeing that shimmer in a purple, which is what I'm also seeing predominantly on the swatches. But as you can see down here at angles, you are seeing some copper pop up as well as green and gold at the edges. You're also seeing some pink and a little bit of that copper here at this edge of the bottle as well, right next to that electric green. And here's that one in 3 coats with a glossy top coat. This one, like I said, mainly shows up as a blackened base with that very dark but bright purple at the face of the nail. So depending on your lighting, you might get different shifts there on the nail, but I love this vampy look. This is another one that's perfect for this upcoming fall season. So that one was Bee's Knees Lacquer Belladonna Berries. The next one is Great Lakes Lacquer's Call Like a Wind. This was another absolutely must grab for that month of April, and I am so glad that I did. This is spectacular. So for this one, we have this very dark berry, almost burgundy leaning base, which is kind of hard to see in the bottle because you have such a predominant shimmer that shows up. You've got those greens and blues. There's some purple that it shifts to as well. This one is stunning. You can see all of the different shades of the blues and greens and aquas that shimmer shifts to. It is dazzling. So here is Call Like a Wind in 3 coats with a glossy top coat. There around the edges of the nail you can see that deeper berry, almost burgundy leaning coloration, and then of course that amazing green glow at the face of the nail. You can see it shift to a bit of a blue there, and of course again this is the type of shimmer that is going to just be a chameleon depending on the lighting that you're in, depending on how many coats you use. Now for this one I probably would end up wearing this maybe in 2 coats over a berry cream or even a burgundy cream. So I'm curious how that will end up looking, and we'll have to see of course how I end up wearing it when I do wear it, but this one I think is going to go on my fall rack as well. So that one was Great Lakes Lacquer, Call Like a Wind. Next up we have one from Polish, and this one is I Can Buy Myself Flowers, and it's a purple, you guys. I don't think anyone was surprised that I ended up grabbing this one. It is a stunning purple, and it's got this sort of a dusty quality to it, but it does have some brightness around the edges. Now it is chock full of those holographic flakies that I love to see, plus it has a shifting shimmer. So I'm seeing green here at the side, but you're seeing the green up there at the face of the bottle. Whereas in person, I'm seeing that as a dark blue. So this is another one that is going to shift beautifully. I love a blue against a purple. I think they complement each other so nicely. You can see a bit of green as well. So here is I Can Buy Myself Flowers in 3 coats with a glossy top coat. Look how nicely you can see that shimmer pop. Absolutely gorgeous, and you get all of those beautiful rainbows in those holographic flakies. Of course, as a purple fan, I am all about this color. It is just gorgeous. So that was Polish, I Can Buy Myself Flowers. Next up is, I think, the only magnetic that I ended up grabbing for April. This comes from Phoenix Indie Polish, and this is Poppy Dreams. And this is a really beautiful orange with blue in it. The orange is in a flaky, and the dark blue is in a micro glitter. There's also some green in here, and the orange is the magnetic particle. So let's go ahead and see that magnetized. Yeah, you can see that beautiful orange pulled up into the magnetic line. Then you're left with this darkened base that shows up predominantly as a green with those blue glitters in it. This was one that I was very excited to see in person because it seems very unique to my collection. I don't have anything else quite like this. So here's that one in 3 coats with a glossy top coat, and this is magnetized. So you can see that orange line. I did it diagonally across the nail. Then you have that deepened green with those blue flecks in it from the glitter. This is such an intriguing and interesting color. This is another one that is for sure going on my fall seasonal rack that's upcoming. I love the dance of that orange against this deeper green base. It is just beautiful and incredibly unique. If I can say that one more time. So that one was Phoenix Indie Polish Poppy Dreams. Next up is one from KB Shimmer. This one is Rose Were the Days, and this is one again that I was super excited to see in person. This one sort of falls in line with one of the Bee's Knees lacquers that I absolutely fell in love with, and that is, I can never remember how to say this. It's either the Lias or the Loose or something along those lines. It's something Remembers, and I adored that polish on, and this one kind of falls in line with that type of a polish, not necessarily a dupe of it or anything, but it is a deeper rose pink with an orange glow to it, and that combination is really part of what drew me to that Bee's Knees lacquer. So I've been drawn to other polishes that do a similar combination. And why I liked it is when you're wearing this kind of a polish, you do oftentimes see the polish for what the base is. In this case, it is this pinky rose that has almost a purple hint to it at certain angles. And because it does have that orange to gold glow in it, in certain lights at certain angles, your nails will look more orange than they do pink and in other lighting they will look more purple, and I just adore chameleon polishes like that because you just never know what you're going to see on your nails, and I love that. So I was very excited to see this one, and it did not disappoint. This one is a beautiful one. So here is that one in 3 coats with a glossy top coat, and as you can see, you get such a beautiful flame of a glow from that shimmer. You see all of the rainbows from those holographic flakies, and then that pink pops up, that sort of purpley leaning pink at certain angles where the shimmer is not showing up as predominantly. So another beautiful color. Love that one. So that was KB Shimmers, Rose Were the Days. Next up is one from Polished for Days. April was quite a big month for me, as you can see, and this one is in Bloom. So this is another instance that mixes a pink with orange. It is one of my favorite combinations. I just find that they complement each other so nicely, and what I really like about this one is the base actually has a purplish look to it once it's swatched. We're just going to go straight to that. You see that purple glow, that tint, almost like a jelly in that base, and then the pink and the orange just pop right off of it. It is spectacular. I adore polish like this as well. I just think it is so fun. It has all of these different colors that you wouldn't really expect to be together, but that I find just dazzle my eyes. So this one in the bottle does have mostly that pink that you're seeing around the edges, but there in the bubble you can see that jelly purple, and then of course across the face you see that incredibly strong orange to gold shifting shimmer that is just going to provide this flame on the nails. Again, I adore colors like this. This one is stunning. So here's that one in 3 coats with a glossy top coat, and yeah, just adore this one. I am so glad I did end up grabbing this one. Polished for Days really knows how to do shimmer polishes like this. They just knock it out of the park every single time. So there again, you can see that hint of that purple peeking through at certain angles. Then of course you have the pink across the whole nail, and then that glow, that fiery glow from that shimmer. Just beautiful. So that one was Polished for Days in Bloom. And then the last polish that I got for the month of April is Wildflower Lacquer's Flower in the Sun. And this is a stunning flaky bomb in a purple, so you know I had to grab it. This one has a ton of different kinds of flakies going on. I'm seeing everything from a green to gold to some pink and red. There's also these indigo flakies in there as well, which I think you can see there, showing up as sort of that ghostly blue. I think there might also be a tiny, tiny holographic particle in here, adding little twinkles of rainbows. If not, there's something else in here that is providing a beautiful twinkle, plus of course all of those flakies. I mean, look at that. Just wow. It provides a sort of a foiled look on the nail, which I thought was absolutely beautiful. Look at those big ones there. Wow. So here's that wildflower in 3 coats with a glossy top coat, and there you can see that sort of a sheen that I was talking about. You get this sort of a foiled look, and of course you can see all of those flakies in this soft purple base. And I think on the nail you can kind of see what I was talking about with those little tiny flashes of a smaller particle. If it's not a hollow, I'm not sure what it is, but it is really, really pretty. So because this is a flaky bomb, it is in a sheerer base. So because of that, this one could make a beautiful topper over other colors. We'll have to see how I end up playing with that one. But that one was Wildflower Lacquer's Flower in the Sun. So that was my rather large month for April. Now we're going to move on into the month of May. And May, I don't think you can see very many of them, but May was a lot smaller. For April, I had 9 polishes. For May, I had 5. So the first one is Linby Designs. This one is called It Ain't Easy Being Cheesy. And I think the theme might have been food, because this one is cheesy, like either Cheetos or mac and cheese. And then a few of the other ones that I have reference Skittles or donuts. So I think it was food, but correct me if I'm wrong. So this Linby Designs is another flaky bomb. I mean, look at all those flakies. It's in this kind of deep but dusty peach, and then you have a load of those iridescent flakies. Again, huge flakies. I mean, look at that one right there. Absolutely massive. I don't know if you can see that whole flaky there. There's also some smaller flakies in here, as well as the hollow flakies that I absolutely love to see in polish. You also have a shimmer particle in here. Now, what I loved about this is all of the different colors that you can see all in one polish. You, of course, have the oranges and peaches, you have the golds, but there is a pink quality to this that shows up at certain angles. So let's go ahead and see this on the nail. Here it is in 3 coats with a glossy top coat. This one does maintain rather a squishy look on the nail, but I love how it ends up looking. This is another one that would look gorgeous over other colors. In fact, I'm probably going to have it on my fall seasonal rack to use as a topper, but look at the beautiful flakies that you get on there. And then of course the scattering of those holographic flakes looks beautiful as well. I don't know if that pink is going to show up, but I think you can almost start to see it there at the face of the nail. I love that color combination together. So that one was Lynn B Designs. It Ain't Easy Being Cheesy. The next one is from Rogue Lacquer, and this is Make It Pink. And this one has beautiful iridescent flakies in it. This is a nice bright bubblegum pink, and look at those flakies. So they have a predominant golden look at the face, but then as you tilt it away from the light, you can see some of the pastel blues and purples coming to play. This is another beautiful combination, and I think pretty unique to my collection. I have, over the last year or so, been much more drawn to pinks than I used to be, but I still don't think I have anything quite like this with a flaky in my collection. And here's that one in 2 coats with a glossy top coat. This one was nice and opaque for me in just the 2 coats. I would say perhaps longer nails might need a 3rd though if you have a very prominent nail line or really long nails, but I love this combination. It has that soft golden glow on the nail and of course that beautiful pink base. So that one was Rogue Lacquer's Make It Pink. Next up we have another Lacquer. This is Midnight Galaxy and it is a magnetic. I believe for the month of May I had 2 magnetics. This one is a beautiful multi-chrome with flakies. You can see those dancing in there nicely. The multi-chromatic pigment shifts from purple to blue, pink. You've got fuchsia, a little bit of gold and green. I don't know how many of those colors are actually going to show up on camera, but they are absolutely beautiful. And the flakies have a completely different shift to them. I'm seeing them in golds and greens, but also pinks and oranges. So let's go ahead and see this magnetized. So you get the softer blue and green pulled up into the magnetic line. You're left with that deep galaxy sky look on the nail. Plus you can see those flakies really nicely. So here's that one in 3 coats with a glossy top coat. This one I think did work okay with just a glossy top coat on it, but if you want it to be perfectly smooth, you might put either 2 coats of your glossy top coat or perhaps use a glitter smoother to sort of seal in some of those flakies, because we do have some pretty large ones in there creating a little bit of texture. But I love how this one looks on the nail as well. You get that beautiful galaxy look on the nail from the magnetic line, and then you're left with that deep blue to purple on the rest of the nail. And oh my goodness, look at that huge flaky. Wow. So that one was Lacquer's Midnight Galaxy. The next one comes from Cuticula, and this one is a Skittle Obsessed, and this is another purple. So again, I don't think anybody was surprised that I ended up grabbing this one. Being a purple fan, you have a ton of these flakies showing up in greens. There's also a blue flash in there that I don't know is coming across as different than those greens, but there's definitely a blue and a green mixed in here, and it just looks gorgeous. So here's that one in 3 coats with a glossy top coat. This one I will say does maintain a pretty sheer jelly look on the nail. You do get plenty of those flakies though, so if I were to wear this and I wanted it to look more like what's in the bottle, I would probably choose to pair this with a matching undie, and I do still have some purples out on my summer rack. Let's see what would look good under this. I could either use one of my favorites, Orly's Synthetic Symphony. I think is a perfect match to what I'm seeing there in the base. But you could also do an even darker color if you wanted to amp up the depth and richness of it. This one is Orly's On the Edge. Could also pair it over Rogue Lacquer's Just Doing My Best. That one is also pretty close to what I'm seeing there in the base. And then just to compare that to Synthetic Symphony, you can see the tonal differences there. I will say for this one, I feel like I may have kind of inadvertently duped myself. This was purchased in May, and I ended up making a purchase from Fancy Gloss for Polish Pickup Rewind, and I grabbed a couple of polishes to go with the Polish Pickup returning polish, but we'll get to that in a second. I'm trying to incorporate more aspects into my hauls, not just how pretty things are, because I know I tend to be very gushy about polish because I just love it. I am very enthusiastic about it, but I'm trying to also add into my hauls whether or not I am still glad to have made my purchases, because if you've watched some of my more recent videos, I am trying to be more thoughtful about which polishes I'm buying. I'm on a low buy, not a no buy, just a low buy. And for the month of August, I only made one polish purchase, and that was Polish Pickup, and it was only 3 polishes. So that is a huge difference. What I am trying to bring to the table and share with everybody is, if the polishes that I purchased, especially in this case because I've had months and months between when I made the purchase and now as I'm hauling it, if I am still happy that I made the purchase or if I accidentally duped myself. So with this one, I do feel like I did kind of dupe myself with this Fancy Gloss, and that one is Electric Grape. The swatch pictures of this definitely sold me on it, and I didn't realize how similar it would be to a Skittle Obsessed, at least in the bottle. You have quite a similar tone in the base. Now, there is a difference. Fancy Gloss is actually a bit more opaque, and the flakies I think are different. They're more electric green in Electric Grape, whereas in the Cuticula there are those 2 different kinds of flakies. As I mentioned, you do have these electric greens pop up, but as you can see, you're getting a lot more of a blue as well. So here they are on the nail. We have the Cuticula over here, Fancy Gloss there. I think you can see that they are different. I didn't exactly dupe myself, but I don't know that I necessarily needed to buy both. But as you can see, they do actually look different. The Cuticula is more of a squishy formula, and on the nail you do see far less of those bright, intense greens as you do in that Fancy Gloss. But we'll take a closer look at the Fancy Gloss here once we get to that order here on the second row, but just wanted to touch quickly on the possible dupiness that I did to myself. All right, so that one was Cuticula's A Skittle Obsessed. And then the last polish for the month of May was from DRK Nails, and this is Don't Give Up, and this is another magnetic. So this is another instance where I thought that this combination was very eye-catching. So I feel like in the bottle, it's almost, at least in person, kind of hard to see the deep blue around the edges. Now that's the base that you will see predominantly once you pull the magnetic particles into a line. Those flakies are part of the magnetic pull. There's also another particle in here that is another color of flaky in a darker blue. So you have a couple of different kinds of flakies in there. Let's go ahead and see this one magnetized. There, I think you can see what I'm talking about. You get that beautiful orange, green, and pink pulled up into the magnetic line. You're mainly seeing that as a pink on camera, but you can see here in the rest of the base, what's left, there is still some particles in there. So really gorgeous combination. Again, pretty unique to my collection. So here's how it looks on the nail once it's magnetized in 3 coats with a glossy top coat. You see that really inky blue around the edges where the magnetic line has been pulled from, and then you get that dance of the magnetic pull across the face of the nail. I think this one could be really fun to play around with a magnetic pull, get different designs on the nail, but this is still such a gorgeous color. I love this combination. DRK is one of those brands that really knows how to do magnetics just spectacularly. So that one was DRK Nails, Don't Give Up. And that closes out the month of May. Now we are going to take a look at June. So the first one for June comes from Atomic Polish, and this one is She's Got Electric Boobs. And this one, I believe, was misheard song lyrics. And this is another month, you guys, I went hog wild. I mean, this one is ridiculous. I actually got 15 items, and technically I purchased 16, but this was the month that BCB Lacquer's polish did not reach Polish Pickup headquarters, so I was refunded for that one. It actually threw me for a loop when I unboxed this because I had temporarily forgotten about that and thought I was missing a polish. But I have 14 nail polishes to share from this month, plus a top coat. So yeah, like I said, I went a bit hog wild on this month, but there were a lot of beautiful polishes. Now, this is a month that I will be going over individually if I regret getting it or not, because yeah, like I said, I went a bit overkill. In any case, this first one is from Atomic, and it is a very fun pink with these white matte glitters. You have this kind of subtle purpley blue glow in it. This one is very pretty in the bottle, however, I did feel that it came across incredibly sheer on the nail. Here it is in 3 coats with a glossy top coat, and as you can see, you can still see straight through this. This is much sheerer than I thought it would be, and I don't know if that's just my application or my bottle or what the case was, but this one was a bit of a disappointment because of how sheer it is. Now, this is of course done on a clear nail ring. It's very possible if I were to put this on my natural nail, maybe it won't look quite so drastically sheer, but as it is swatched, I feel like it is quite sheer, and I wouldn't really be wearing it as is. So this is one that I feel like I would definitely be pulling another color to wear this over. So again, pulling from my summer rack that I still have up, I feel like I could put this over perhaps Color Club's Beach Please to pull that vibrant, almost neon quality that I was hoping this pink would have. Give myself that boost in opacity because the Color Club is a cream formula. Let's see, I could also do a softer pink. I have this one from OPI, which is I Quit My Day Job. That one is from the past summer collection. So obviously you would get 2 very different looks on the nail, but I think this over a lighter shade of pink could look really beautiful. But of course the question remains, would I purchase it now knowing what I do from what I see in person? And sadly for this one, I don't think I would. Now that I'm trying to do a low buy, this one would be one that I would go back and tell myself to just skip, because it didn't turn out to be how I expected it, and I feel like I have enough pink polishes, enough other pink polishes that I'm more thrilled with that have this purple glow in a pink, that I didn't necessarily need to add this one to my collection. Now, am I going to destash it? That part I don't know yet, but just wanted to, like I said, throw that out there, be as transparent as I can be about my purchase choices, and if I end up regretting any of them once I end up having them home. So that's just the first one. That was Atomic Polish. She's Got Electric Boobs. Do love the name of that. That is hilarious. All right, next up we have Bee's Knees Lacquer. This is They're Coming for the Snail, and this one is a blackened jelly base full of these rainbow micro flakies. So this one has every single color you could possibly imagine. You have greens, purples, pinks, oranges, gold, and green. I feel like on camera you're predominantly seeing the sort of a fuchsia and green, but if you look closely you can see little speckles of gold at the back end here and little speckles of blue up front. So those, again, I feel like are going to shift depending on your light source, but very pretty polish. The reason I did end up grabbing this, even though it was in a blackened base, was how many colors I was seeing and the fact that it was a Bee's Knees lacquer. We'll get to that in a second though. So here it is on the nail in 3 coats with a glossy top coat. So here on the nail, I am seeing more colors in person than I am on camera. Again, I feel like my camera is mainly picking up those fuchsias and greens with a scattering of colors, but there is much more of a rainbow effect in person. I think for this one, it does fall somewhere between a 2 and 3 coater depending on your nail length and application. If you have shorter nails and you go in with a thicker application, you might be okay with 2, but for swatch purposes, I did end up doing 3 to reach full opacity. So sadly for this one, this is another one I feel like I could have talked myself out of. And I think the main reason I talked myself into it is because it was a Bee's Knees lacquer. And like many of you, I'm a huge fan of the brand. I love the creativity that they had. I love their collections, and I was very sad to see them semi-retire. I have been trying to keep as close an eye as I can on their different releases. In any case, I feel like I did let FOMO and hype motivate me to get this one as opposed to me just loving the polish. And I was fearful that if I did not grab this one, I would regret it. And I do feel like this is one that probably will be going in the D-stash simply because, as I have mentioned before in a number of my other D-stash videos, I don't wear blackened polishes, so I don't know why I let myself go ahead and grab this one knowing that about myself, but I did. So I think this is the first one that will be going directly into the D-stash. I think I could have easily, now anyways, talked myself out of it, given myself the reasons why I have been destashing a lot of this similar type of polish in a blackened base, and let myself not buy one more polish for that month. But in any case, that was Bee's Knees Lacquer. They're coming for the snail. Next up is another magnetic, this time from by Danny Viana, and this one is Tangerine Beet. This one was an absolute must grab for the month because I adore oranges, and this is a perfect fall magnetic, which I actually don't have that many of. So this is, of course, a burnt orange loaded with, I think, orange hollow, maybe even two different kinds of hollow, because you can sort of see a bit of a scattering of a silver holographic in there as well. And of course, the magnetic. So let's see it magnetized. So once it's magnetized, you get this sort of a brown lean in that base. In fact, on camera, it's pulling very dark brown, but it's not quite that dark, at least not on my swatches. You can still tell that it is a burnt orange. And then of course you get that brighter orange pulled up into the magnetic line. And here it is in 2 coats with a glossy top coat. Now this one really surprised me that I could get it opaque in 2 coats, because oftentimes with magnetics they are still pretty sheer in 2 coats, but this one, I don't know if it's maybe the depth of color that the base has, but this is perfect for me in 2 coats with a glossy top coat. And you guys, love this one. I love this one. I am thrilled that I have this one. This is not a regret. This one will be going on my fall rack, and I am very excited to be able to wear this one. So that one is by Danny Viana's Tangerine Beet. Next up is another cuticula, and this is Baker's Gonna Bake, Bake, Bake. And you guys, it's another purple. What can I say? I all too easily talk myself into getting all the purples. In fact, I sort of am patting myself on the back this month for September's polish pickup that just opened today, because I have so far successfully skipped it. And the one that is sort of lingering in my mind, because I saw more swatches after I filmed my I'm skipping video, is Polished for Days, which I somehow didn't even have on my radar. But that one is a purple with a blue glow. In any case, I'm rambling. I have skipped polish pickup so far, so I feel like patting myself on the back for not getting another purple. But in any case, this one has these micro flakies in it, which I think on camera you're kind of seeing this soft green across the face and a deeper sort of blurple around the rest of the bottle. Now, it's not quite as dark as I feel like it's coming across on camera. It has much more of a deep grapey tone to it, which I think you can see there at the edges. So here is Baker's Gonna Bake in 3 coats with a glossy top coat. This is another one that really has a much more squishier formula than I was expecting. It is still really sheer. I can see my nail line right through it, so I think longer nails would definitely need a blurring base coat underneath this, or again, matching this over a purple cream to give yourself that boost in opacity would get you much more opaque than wearing it on its own. For this one, I would probably be matching this over a cream, and for myself, I think for this one I would match it over that darker Orly, which was on the edge. That I think is that color that I was anticipating that this would look like on the nail, that very dark but somehow still vibrant shade of purple. So that's probably going to be my duo when I wear that one. So the question about this one is, do I regret this one? A bit, yes. I know this one was exceedingly popular. If I'm not mistaken, I think this might have even come back for Polish Pickup Rewind, and it's pretty, but again, I didn't realize it would be nearly so sheer. So again, I am swatching on clear nails. It's very possible that on a natural nail, it might not come off quite so sheer, but for that reason, I feel like I could have easily talked myself out of it, at least from what I'm seeing in my swatches and here in my studio lighting. I don't feel like this one was so incredibly unique that I needed to grab it. This is probably one where if I were to be able to go back in time, so to speak, and whittle my purchase down a bit, this is probably one that I would talk myself out of. But in any case, I do have it. I think I might at least give it a chance and try it over that dark oily and see how I like it. But that one is Cuticula's Baker's Gonna Bake, Bake, Bake. Next up is one from Ethereal, and this one is Lorraine. And this is one that really had a lot of hype surrounding it. It's another one of those blue glowy polishes that Ethereal has been releasing a few of over the last few months. So the blue glow is very in, and I can appreciate that. I absolutely adore it. This is one that I had to get for that month because of that incredible blue glow. This time it's in this sort of a murky gray leaning dark blue. Now this is a squishy formula, and I did know that going in. Here's how it looks on the nail in 3 coats with a glossy top coat. Now for this one, I have seen swatches of it on people's nails, and it doesn't end up coming off quite so sheer looking. So that gives me hope for the Cuticula. Maybe I do just need to try it over my natural nail and see how it ends up looking. But this glow, you guys, is wild. It is very vibrant. I love the blue glow. I feel like this is the kind of blue glow that really can intensify depending on your light source, if it's direct or indirect. So this is one that I'm very excited to try on its own and over other colors. I absolutely adore that bright, brilliant blue flash. So very excited about this one. I do think I would still end up buying this if I were to redo this purchase. So that one was Ethereal's Lorraine. Next up we have Jen and Berries, and this is Raspberry Parade. And you guys, holy moly, I don't know if even half of these colors are going to show up on camera, but in person this is like a jeweled scarab. It is incredible. So on camera you're mostly seeing the raspberry aspect of this multichrome, but in person I'm seeing gold and bronze, green, blue at the extreme angles. Then of course it is jam-packed full of those holographic flakies that I just adore in polish. This one is jaw-dropping. It is one of those polishes that I cannot believe how many colors I'm seeing. It is just stupendous. Here it is in 2 coats with a glossy top coat. This is one that kind of surprised me at being opaque in 2 coats, simply because oftentimes these multichromatic do have somewhat of a squishier formula so that you can still see the layers, but this managed to be very opaque for me in just 2 coats. And again, I am just gobsmacked at the different colors that I'm seeing. I think you are getting a bit of a blue glow bouncing off of it. So that blue I don't think is coming from the polish, that's coming from Lorraine, but beautiful berry tones. You get that orange, you're getting green at the other side of the nail, plus the rainbow from those flakies. Wow. Just wow. This is definitely not a regret. This is one I would buy again. Absolutely love this one. It's another that's going on my fall rack. Just adore this one. It is so stunning. So that one is Jen and Berries Raspberry Parade. Next up, I got KB Shimmers. This one is Apple Dapple Dew, and it's another magnetic. This is another multichrome as well, but just to compare it to the one from Jen and Berries, we do have a completely different shift going on. I'm seeing much more of a purple to fuchsia in the KB Shimmer, and of course, since the KB Shimmer is a magnetic, it will look very different once on the nail and magnetized. So here it is magnetized in the bottle. This also has micro hollow glitters in it, so you can see those twinkling away nicely once it's magnetized, and look at that flash. You have the berry pull up nicely into the magnetic pull. I'm seeing a bit of gold as well. So here's that KB Shimmer in 2 coats with a glossy top coat. So this is another one where I reached full opacity in just 2 coats, which, like I said, for a magnetic is really impressive. Oftentimes they are still a bit sheer even in 3 coats once magnetized, but the formulation on this was just stunning. And again, I am seeing way more colors in person than I feel like are coming across on camera. You're seeing that berry fuchsia quite nicely, but in person it sparkles so gorgeously, and it shifts to that gold as well, plus the rainbow of those glitters. This one is so much better in person. I wish my camera would pick up those other colors, but you do of course get that magnetic midnight sky effect there on the nail. This is another one that I do think I would probably pick up, but I also could potentially see myself talking myself out of it. I don't necessarily think it was as drastically unique as I was hoping it would be, but we'll see about wearing it and see how long it stays in my collection. But it is gorgeous. That was KB Shimmer's Apple Dapple Do. Next up is Music City Beauty. This one is Hold Me Closer, Tony Danza. And this one is a beautiful purple leaning blue, or maybe a bright cobalt blue. Kind of hard to say because it is skewed by this amazing shift that's in it. This has a red to gold to green shifting shimmer, plus it has those holographic flakies. Again, you can see that that is one of those components that I love in polishes. And actually, now that I'm looking at this, this is actually, I feel, very similar to one of the polishes that I talked myself out of getting from this month's polish pickup, which again is September 2023. And that one was the Garden Path Lacquer, An Aura of Foreboding. Very similar, at least in my mind's eye, to this one here. And I already have this one. So I think I can stand by that decision to skip it. This one is absolutely beautiful. And again, I feel like the colors in the shifting shimmer aren't showing up as predominantly as I feel like they are in person, but you can see that gold in person. Where you're seeing the gold, I'm actually seeing a gorgeous electric green. So here's that Music City Beauty in 3 coats with a glossy top coat. And there you can see that beautiful combination of that purple leaning blue base with that amazing shimmer. This is a color combination that I'm very drawn to, so I will have to see how many of these types of polishes I have in my collection at some point when I get around to the million different comparisons that I need to do. But I love this one. I think it is just gorgeous. Can't wait to get it on my nails. So this is not a regret either. I would probably end up buying this if I had to do this month over again. So that was Music City Beauty, Hold Me Closer, Tony Danza. Next up, we have one from Paint It Pretty Polished, and this one is called Kiss This Guy. This one has a beautiful squishy purple base, and look at that glow. This is a very bright, like orange leaning golden shimmer. It has a bit of a lighter shift in it, but what I really liked about this one is that golden glow does have that orange tint to it. This one I can blame fully, or thankfully, to Caitlin's swatches, because she does swatch the Paint It Pretty polishes for polish pickup, and when she swatches, she shows it in all of the different lighting situations, and this one had such a blinding flash to it that I had to grab it. Here it is in 3 coats with a glossy top coat. You do see that glow predominantly. You do get a very strong orange lean at certain angles. Now, this one is still a little on the squishy side, but with this kind of a polish, this kind of a shimmer does a fantastic job at blurring your visible nail line because it is just so dazzling with that glow. So this is a beautiful one. It's kind of an unusual combination for me, being that it is a predominantly golden shimmer. So that is another one that I do still stand by. I'm glad that I ended up grabbing this one. That is Paint It Pretty Polishes, Kiss This Guy. Next up, we have Polished for Days, and this is Barbie on the Boardwalk. This one was such an insanely popular polish that month. It is one of those combinations that has been very, very popular over the last few months, and that is this vivid, bright Barbie pink with a blue shimmer. Now, if you missed it, I did do a comparison, a quick little short that I posted on my channel there, of a bunch of the polishes that I already had in my collection that have the same type of a color combination. It is one that I have definitely been drawn to, but I had to grab this one even if it ends up being slightly similar to those other polishes, because I love the vividness, the brightness of this base. And of course you can see the glow. I mean, it's right there, smacking everybody in the face. It is this intense blue glow. And again, Polished for Days does these shimmer polishes just beautifully. Here is Barbie on the Boardwalk in 3 coats with a glossy top coat. And there you can see some of the shifts in that blue glow. On one side of the nail, it's slightly greener, at least on camera. In person, though, I am mainly seeing that bright blue. It is gorgeous. And again, what I love about this is how intensely pink the base is. I feel like it's sort of getting dulled down on camera, but it is almost a neon quality to it. It is very vivid and just stunning. So that is Barbie on the Boardwalk, another one that I stand by the decision to buy. I love this one. Next up, we have one from Rogue Lacquer, and this is Naked or Not. And this is a soft Dove Gray, loaded with iridescent flakies in a couple of different kinds. You can see the very vivid green, but you can also see some blue and some like fuchsia. There's also some black matte flakies in here. So this one is actually not quite as creamy as it looks like it's going to be in the bottle, but again, I feel like that was something that I was anticipating. It is in 2 coats with a glossy top coat, and this is one that once it's swatched, it's a very light gray, like almost a white with a pinch of gray in it. And I love anything with a matte black flaky or glitter in it. I love how it ends up looking on the nail, and those mixed with those iridescent glitters is really gorgeous. But I think I could have gone either way. I think if I'd skipped out on this one, I don't know that this would have been one that I ended up kicking myself over, but it is pretty. I'll probably end up putting this on my winter rack and seeing how I like it on. But I mean, look at how many of those flakies you're getting in just 2 coats. You can see the glow from those blue ones, which is definitely something that I enjoy. So we'll have to see how I end up liking this once I wear it. But for now, I am not exactly in love with it. Again, not that I dislike it. It's just not one that I'm like gobsmacked by. We'll see how I end up wearing it, but that was Rogue Lacquer's Naked or Not. Next up, we have a Sassy Sauce polish, and this one is Are You Ready? And this is a stunning light purple hollow. Now, the hollow on this is absolutely spectacular, plus there is this shimmer component that goes from a very vivid pink to a gold. I think you're seeing that pink quite nicely, and there at the edge of the bottle you can see that gold popping up. So very pretty combination. I think for this one, the reason I ended up grabbing it, well, A, it's purple, but Sassy Sauce is one of those brands that I do really enjoy, and I think I had seen this one swatched on Latania's video, her live Instagram, which is Lacquer to Lashes, and it was just gorgeous. If it wasn't her channel, it might have been Caitlin's swatches too, because it has been a while, but I do watch both of those videos for a number of the releases that come out every month. But let's go ahead and see this one on the nail. Here is Are You Ready? In 2 coats with a glossy top coat. This is one that I was just amazed by the opacity level in 2 coats. Oftentimes with a holographic formulation, I do find that 2 coats still has sort of a thin, watery look on the nail where you almost need a 3rd coat to give yourself that clearly opaque look, but this one is perfection. And look at that pink glow in that base. Now the purple on this one is a bit more on the subtle side. It is a very soft purple that you can sort of see around the edges. Mainly what you're seeing though is the rainbow from that hollow and the pink flash. This is a stunning combination, and I cannot fault the formula at all. This is beautiful. So this is another one where I think I may have been able to talk myself out of it if I were to go back and switch up my wish list or anything, but as I'm tilting the bottle, I'm seeing even more colors pop up in that shifting shimmer. So I think it might even be a multi-chromatic shimmer, which in my lighting only likes to pick up a couple of different colors, but I am seeing much more of a green and gold there at the base. I think you can see a pinch of orange pop up there as well. So this might actually have even more uniqueness than I thought it did initially, and again, it's probably the reason why this did end up going on my wish list and into my cart. I think I probably could have gone either way, but I'm glad to have it, so we'll have to see how it ends up stacking up against my other purples. But that was Sassy Sauce's Are You Ready? The next one for the month of June is from Swamp Glass, and this is Revved Up Like a Douche. And this one is this gorgeous teal green jelly base loaded with a lot of different things. We have these almost mylar type of iridescent flakies. You have matte white glitters, and then you have this very intense vivid blue glow that I think you can see quite nicely. Almost has like a pinch of a purple lean to it. And then look at the size of some of those flakies. Oh my goodness. This combination is really gorgeous. It's like the epitome of a Swamp Gloss formulation with the mix of flakies and glitter. Here it is in 3 coats with a glossy top coat. Now this is one that I will say is another that was pretty surprising at how sheer it ended up staying. I don't feel like it got nearly as dark as I am seeing in the bottle, but you do get a number of those glitters quite easily on the nail, as well as those flakies. Look at those big ones that I got. Wow. There's that big one right there at the tip of the nail. The formulation was great with that. However, like I said, it did stay much sheerer than I was anticipating. So this is another one that I'm most likely going to be matching with a cream undie. I do love the combination. So while I am less than thrilled that it is very sheer, it's not something that I think fully takes me out of how beautiful and unique the polish is. So we'll have to see how I play around with that, but it is a gorgeous one. This is one that I probably would still stand by, maybe if I went back and redid my purchase, but I also think that I could have talked myself out of it. So it sort of is one of those ones where I could have gone either way. So that one was Swamp Glosses Revved Up Like a Douche. And then the last polish that I got for the month of June comes from Wildflower Lacquer, and this is Mighty Mouse Outside Chicago. And it's another red, you guys. I have 2 more reds coming from Wildflower in the Polish Pickup Rewind month, which is shocking for me. If you guys know me and my polish taste, you'll know that reds, I'm always saying, are not my perfect jam. I am much more of a purple girl than I am a red girl. However, this is, like I said, the 3rd red just from this brand alone that I've picked up over the last few months. So I actually didn't remember if I ended up grabbing this for the month of June, and it was kind of a surprise when I unboxed my June haul and I saw the Wildflower in it. However, this is another one of those polishes that was very hyped. People were just going gaga over it, and it is a beautiful polish. I can see why people were so excited about it. It is a deep, almost blackened base, not quite as dark as I'm seeing it come off on my camera, but it has this amazing sparkle in the shifting, almost multi-chromatic pigmentation that's used. It's predominantly that red with like a pink lean, and it has shifts. You're seeing green, gold, and yellow there at the edges, and there I think is more shifts than that. I think I'm seeing an orange as well. So here is Mighty Mouse Outside Chicago in 2 coats with a glossy top coat. Wildflower really has an amazing formula. This is just 2 coats. I think there are plenty of other brands where you would end up with this being a 3-coater, but here it is in 2 fantastic coats, and there is no way anyone, even with very long nails and a very prominent nail line, would need a 3rd coat on this one. It is opaque, flat out opaque. There you can see that amazing flash of that red glow. This is a stunning color. So that one was Wildflower Lacquer's Mighty Mouse Outside Chicago. Quick little side-by-side bottle comparison of the other 2 reds that I got from Wildflower, and that is Wildflower Lacquer's Perhaps a Christmas Gourd, much redder. Then we have Straight Outta St. Olaf. So we have 3 very different polishes. By comparison, Mighty Mouse Outside Chicago has more of that berry lean towards the face of that shifting shimmer. And then we have more of an intense bright red in Perhaps a Christmas Gourd. And then Straight Outta St. Olaf actually really surprised me when I swatched it, because as we'll see once we get to it, it's not really a red. It's a red, but it's got a purple in it, which you know I love. So there's the 3 red polishes that I got from Wildflower Lacquer just in the last couple of months. So one last thing for this polish. Do I think I would still get it if I were to redo my purchase today? And I think this is another one where I think I could sort of take it or leave it. Again, it's not that it's not a pretty polish, but is this one that just makes my jaw fall on the floor? Is my heart going pitter-pat? My heart is still beating. Of course, but is this one that just gives me that feeling of, oh my gosh, it is amazing. It's pretty, but I think this is another that perhaps I could have talked myself out of. I do tend to err on the side of if I like it, I will buy it, and then I can always destash it with this brand anyways. But this one, like I said, is really gorgeous. We'll have to see how it ends up stacking up once I do comparisons, if I end up keeping it or not. But so far I think this could have been one of those ones that I may have been able to talk myself out of if, again, I were to go back and redo that month of purchases. But that was Wildflower Lacquer's Mighty Mouse Outside Chicago. And then the last item that I bought for the month of June was the Cuticula top coat, and this was raspberry sugar. Now, Cuticula is one of those brands that I have been using their top coat for years, and I love the formulation of it. It dries down nice and fast for me, and I love how thick it is. It's one of the thicker formulations of a quick dry top coat, and I heard fantastic things about this scent, so I was excited to be able to add this to my collection. That one was Cuticula's Limitless Quick Dry Top Coat in raspberry sugar. Alright, now on to some of the polish that you can't even see. It's way over here. One of the smaller orders that I placed with an individual brand comes from Lumen, and the first one is this really beautiful bright shade of orange called I'm Just Drawn That Way. And this is a very interesting shade of this salmony shade of orange. It's actually a very hard shade to describe, but look at the glow in here, that flaky particle that you're seeing. In person, from my angle, I'm catching it as this pink and orange. On camera, you're seeing blues and purples. I think you can see a bit of that coloration that I'm seeing there on the edge or corner of the bottle. Orange mixed with pink and orange mixed with blue always catch my eye. I think it's an unusual and beautiful color combination, so this polish really caught my eye when I went to shop on the Lumen website. And here is that one in 2 coats with a glossy top coat. This is one of those shades that leans nearly into the neon territory. It is vivid and bright, and I love how the particles look in this one. They may not be as in your face as, say, the shimmer in this next one, but you can definitely see them on the nail. For this one, I'm very curious how it will look in the different lighting situations, out in natural light versus indoor, because you can still see a little bit of those blue and purple shifts coming up, but in person, again, I'm mainly seeing that as a gold to pink. So very curious about this one, but I love the bright vividness of that base color. And this is, like I said, 2 coats with a glossy top coat. I do think that it falls somewhere between a 2 and 3 coater though, depending on your nail length and application. You might need a 3rd to reach your desired opacity. So that one was Lumen's I'm Just Drawn That Way. And this is one I think I would still grab. It is a very pretty and unique color to my collection. I don't think I could easily dupe this out at all. And it is, like I said, a very unique shade of that orange. So that one I think I would still grab if I were to redo that purchase. The second polish that I got from Lumen is Salted Sea, and this is another beautiful shimmer polish. Now, this one was advertised as a sibling to the polish that was coming out for Polish Pickup Rewind that month, which was Glass Frog, and I had skipped this one and kicked myself for it, so I did grab this one for the month of Polish Pickup Rewind in July. And here's just a quick little side-by-side comparison of them. You can see that the shimmer is very, very similar. I think it's in fact dead on. So the difference, as advertised anyways, lies in the tone of the base. This one does have a very beautiful shimmer. Both of them do, of course, since it's the same shimmer, but I love the particle size. That larger, like mini flake or larger shimmer particle is just gorgeous. You have a purple flash, which I think is being camera shy, but it's there at the corner of the bottle. Plus you have the green and blue in that shimmer. It is gorgeous. So here is Salted Sea in 3 coats with a glossy top coat. Now this is one that I knew would be still squishy in 3 coats. It was advertised as such, but I loved the glow on this. I think the shimmer, like I said, is just gorgeous. It is kind of hard to see the base color though. You can sort of kind of see it there, but it is very much a jelly tint. So it does leave this quite open to topper possibilities though. So you could put this over basically any shade of blue, any shade of green, any shade of purple, potentially shades of pink, although I don't know if that would be my favorite way of wearing this. I don't know. I'd have to play around with that. Potentially gorgeous over burgundy, actually. That could look really pretty, but this is one where I do think I could have easily skipped this and not kicked myself. Reason being is we'll go straight to the swatch of Glass Frog, which was from Polish Pickup Rewind. You guys, I don't see any difference really once swatched. It's very possible on a nail you might get a slight difference, but for me, especially since it is the identical shimmer, I don't think I needed both. So I do feel like I could have just stuck with Glass Frog since that was the one that I had been drawn to initially. However, I do think I sort of let FOMO, or I guess the hype of Glass Frog coming back talk me into getting a sibling before I'd even gotten a chance to see Glass Frog in person. But this is one that I do think I could have easily skipped in hindsight. I don't think I need both of them in my collection. In fact, what I will probably do is de-stash one. I just need to decide which one. So there we have a quick little side-by-side of Lumen's Salted Sea and Lumen's Glass Frog. The next order that I placed from an individual brand was from Wildflower Lacquer. They ended up releasing a For the Birds collection, and I ended up grabbing two from that collection as well as their Alzheimer's Awareness Charity Polish. So the first one that was from the Bird collection is this one called Impeccable, and this one I just thought was so unique. It is this deeper berry in the base. Then we have this amazing shifting shimmer. I'm seeing a green in person, you're seeing a gold on camera. This also has those holographic flakies scattered throughout. Now, what you're not catching at all on camera is in person, this shifts beautifully. The green has this purple to blue shifting quality to it, which I think there you're able to catch it. It is so much more predominantly purple in person. It is gorgeous. This kind of a mix is just, like I said, so incredibly unique. I'm very happy I ended up grabbing this one. Here is Impeccable in 2 coats with a glossy top coat. Like I said, Wildflower Lacquer just has a way with their formulas, making sure that they are usually opaque in 2 coats. And here it is, no different. 2 coats, fully opaque. I really don't see anybody needing a 3rd coat of this to reach full opacity. And this is just a beautiful, beautiful color. Again, you're seeing a completely different polish than I'm seeing in person because of how shifty it is. This is one that I definitely do not regret buying. This is dazzling. I still think this is going to be fairly unique in my collection as well. And it's another that will be going on my fall rack. Cannot wait to wear this one. So that is Wildflower Lacquer's Impeccable. The second polish that I got from the For the Birds collection is Hum Again, and this is another one that I thought was a very interesting color combination. The base is a purple leaning blue. Now I think on camera you're mainly seeing the vivid blue, but it has a pinch of that purple leaning quality to it. We again have those holographic flakes scattered throughout, plus a beautiful shifting shimmer. Now on camera you're mainly seeing that as a gold, but in person I'm seeing green and blue. It is very, very pretty. Again, another combination that is very striking and gorgeous. Here it is on the nail in 2 coats with a glossy top coat. It's actually much more purple once swatched than it is in the bottle. And of course, you still see that amazing shifting shimmer there nicely, as well as the scattering of those holographic flakies, which if you're new, I think this video is a pretty good indication about how much I like those because they've been in a number of the polishes that I've hauled. So yeah, that's another one that I would definitely still grab. I really like that one. I think the color stands out quite nicely among the other polishes in my collection. It's another one that I can't wait to wear. So that one was Wildflower's Hum Again. And then the third polish that I got is the Alzheimer's Awareness Polish. This is Fairy Bells. And this one, oh, it is dazzling. This is that micro flaky type of particle. It has beautiful shifts from gold to pink, at least in person. I think on camera you're mainly seeing that pink, but you can see the gold there at the edges, and it's all in this very light, kind of hard to distinguish if it's a blue or a purple base, but it is gorgeous. This is the kind of particle that always catches my eye because I love how this ends up looking on the nail. It is just so magical. There, I think you can see a better indication of the color that I'm talking about. Like I said, it's kind of hard to pinpoint if it is a purple or a blue, but I love those kind of colors. Here's that one in 3 coats with a glossy top coat. Now this one is still on the sheer side. That way you don't drown out these particles in a more opaque cream formula. But what that does mean for this kind of a polish is you can wear this as a topper or on its own. So very versatile. I think this sort of a color would look beautiful over basically anything. Of course, the obvious, the blues and the purples, but I think this kind of a color could look stunning over shades of pink as well. Maybe even shades of green. And again, for some reason, I am feeling trying to layer things over burgundies lately. So I might have to see how this one looks over a burgundy like this one. This is H&M's Red Carpet. I think I would like to see how that looks. I think it could look just gorgeous. So this is another one I absolutely do not regret buying. Very happy I grabbed this. It is just dazzling. So that's Wildflower Lacquer's Fairy Bells. All right, the next brand that I got before we get into our last month of polish pickup that I've hauled for this video, apologies about this lengthier video, this is definitely going to be a long one, was from Fancy Gloss. And for that one, I bought 2 polishes besides the one that was coming back for Polish Pickup Rewind. The first is Fancy Gloss's Electric Grape. This is one that we did initially take a look at when I was comparing it to Cuticula's A Skittle Obsessed. Now again, they are not identical. They do have 2 different kinds of flakies in Cuticula, whereas they have more of those electric green flakies in the one from Fancy Gloss. And here is Electric Grape in 2 coats with a glossy top coat. That is one of the main differences between this one and the Cuticula one, is the formulation of how opaque they are. The one from Cuticula, which is over here, needed 3 coats and it was still a bit on the squishy side, whereas the one from Fancy Gloss in just 2 coats was so packed with those electric green flakies that I didn't need a 3rd coat to reach more opaque. So there's a difference. They are differently formulated and of course have a different flakies, but I don't know that I necessarily needed to purchase both, but this is gorgeous. I think if I had to go back and only get one, I most likely would only get the Fancy Gloss, but the Cuticula one is pretty. Like I said, I would most likely be wearing this over a dark purple myself, but I don't know. I keep going back and forth with that one about whether or not I would get both, because I mean, they are different. I think that I like more about the Fancy Gloss is just the fact that it is more opaque in the 2 coats. At the same time, the Cuticula does have those blue flakies, which create a completely different look on the nail, and those are the more sheer ones. So yeah, I don't know, I could go back and forth on that one. Let me know what you think. But here is the Fancy Gloss again in 2 coats with a glossy top coat, and I just love this combination. So that one is definitely a keeper. That is Fancy Gloss's Electric Grape. The next polish that I ended up grabbing in my cart is a cream, and this is Pink Haze. Now this is one of their kind of pastel leaning neons. It's a bit brighter than I feel like it's coming off, at least on my screen. Here it is in 2 coats with a glossy top coat. Now the reason why I ended up grabbing this one is I have been very into this shade range of pinks lately, and I wanted to see how this ends up comparing to the other shades in my collection. However, I do think, now that I have it in person and I can see that I have probably at least 3 colors on my summer rack just up here that are very, very similar to this, that I don't necessarily think I needed to grab this one, but I did. So let's go ahead and just see really quickly how it compares, at least in the bottle, to a few that I have on my summer rack. The first is Color Club's Beach Please. That one I do think is a couple shades darker, but then I also have another Color Club in Coated. This one is One Step Modern Pink. That one I think is also a shade or 2 darker. So maybe I haven't instantly duped myself, but I know I have at least one LA Colors that is pretty darn close to this. Where is that one? That one is Pink Miss. Put it side by side with Pink Miss, which was one of the ones that I really enjoyed, which is why I ended up picking this one up. And yay, they're not dupes. I was actually really worried that they would be a dupe to Pink Miss, but Pink Miss is a much softer tone. Hopefully that's noticeable on camera. So, okay, maybe I take that back. I think this one, at least for the time being, and for the few that I do have nearby to pull, maybe I don't regret getting this one. Maybe that was well worth grabbing to add to my collection. So that second one from Fancy Gloss was Pink Haze. All right, guys, if you've hung in this long, we are finally getting to the last row here, which you still can't even see. Hang on. All right. Now you can finally see the polishes that are in the last row, and this is the month of Polish Pickup Rewind this past July. This actually was one of those months where I felt like I had quite a number of the polishes that were already returning. If you want to go back and see which ones I did have, I do have quite a large comparison video on my channel of all of the different polishes that were returning for that month that I already owned. So that did make it quite a lot easier for this month of Polish Pickup, especially considering the month of June was huge. So I did end up grabbing, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 from the Polish Pickup website, one of which, no, two of which were actually duplicates of bottles I already owned, I wanted backups of, then two from the maker's sites. And actually that was whittled down from possibly getting three. The other one was from Bluebird Lacquer, and I ended up talking myself out of that one. Although I'm getting ahead of myself. I am getting ahead of myself, but I do wish I had grabbed that one in hindsight. However, all right, let's dig into the ones that I did grab. The first one is from Dreamland Lacquer, Shake Your Shamrock. This was kind of a last minute bring back because it only came out in June, and so many people like this one. I think the maker said that this was one of her biggest months selling from Polish Pickup, and seemingly a lot of people like myself had talked themselves out of it and instantly regretted it once people got their hauls and were swatching pictures of this. So it was instantly returned to July's Polish Pickup Rewind, and I ended up grabbing this one because I, like I said, was one of those people that I talked myself out of it and did instantly regret not grabbing it. So now I have it. It is absolutely gorgeous. It is this almost neon shade of shamrock green, and it has a very beautiful blue glow. This is one that I wish I would have pulled out earlier because I would have liked to wear this for summer. In fact, I might try to get it on my nails as sort of a last minute summer hurrah. And here it is in two coats with a glossy top coat. So this is one where I do think potentially some people might need a third to reach more opaque, but I think it really would depend on your nail length and application. But look at this combination. Holy moly, I'm really happy I did end up grabbing this. I love the combination, and I do think it stands out quite nicely as a unique polish among the other ones that I already have in my collection. It is gorgeous. And only two coats, very impressive. So this is definitely not a regret. That is Dreamland Lacquer's Shake Your Shamrock. The second one was actually sort of a last minute addition. I had eyed it when it initially came out, and I don't think I was quite into brighter oranges at the time, so I had not grabbed it in its initial release month. But I ended up thinking it was really beautiful this time around in the Rewind month, so I grabbed Fair Maiden's Tagine Queen. And you guys, I'm so glad I did. This is amazing. So it's a very unique shade of this bright, vivid orange, and what makes it even more unique is the combination of glitters in this as well as a shimmer. So you have these red glitters as well as red tiny shards, little irregular shapes there, and then you see that sort of a purple glow that actually has some shifts to it. I'm seeing pink, I'm also seeing gold, you're seeing kind of this purpley flash, and then of course the glitter that's in here is hollow as well, so you've got rainbows flashing from those as well. And it is one of those shades of orange that I think on camera you can see that yellow quality to it. So again, a very unusual shade of orange. Here it is in 3 coats with a glossy top coat. Now this one I would say when I wear it, I would probably put a glitter smoother and then a glossy top coat just because this one is a little bit thirsty. But I love this one. This one is very unique, and I'm very happy I did end up grabbing this. It definitely is unique to my collection, and I think this was one of the last releases that came from Fair Maiden before they split up into their 2 separate brands, Bow Ribs and Monarch. So yeah, this is just such a unique color, and I'm loving these brighter summer oranges as well. Again, this is another color that I think I want to try to at least put on my nails once before the season officially ends. But yeah, such a unique color, so cool. So that one was Fair Maiden's Tagine Queen. Next up we have that Lumen, that is Glass Frog. Now because we did already sort of go over this when we looked at Salted Sea, this one is just going to be a very brief comparison again to Salted Sea in the bottle. And again, I do feel like they are pretty similar. Glass Frog has a bit of like a purple cloud to it, whereas there's much more of a clarity in the base to Salted Sea. So here again is Glass Frog in 3 coats with a glossy top coat. And again, this one was advertised as sheer, so this one was not surprising that it did maintain a complete sheer look. But again, for this one, swatches were just out of this world. So I'm very excited to be able to wear this, to try it over other colors and play around with how this shimmer would pop off of different colors. This is another instance where I think it would look just amazing over a dark burgundy cream. So it's probably one of the ways that I'm going to try to wear this one. But yeah, very pretty. I still stand by the fact though that I don't think I needed both Salted Sea and Glass Frog in my collection. I just think they're far too similar to each other. That one was Lumen's Glass Frog. Now the next one you probably won't even recognize. This is an instant awe because this is not the color this polish is supposed to be. This is Swamp Gloss's Whoa, and this one, you guys, I purchased it because I already have this polish. It's a thermal and I killed off my bottle. My bottle that I have previously is kind of this weird shade of green, but what it's supposed to be is this beautiful turquoise that sort of pales to what it is in the bottle. This is supposed to be its warm state, and as you can see, my bottle died in transport, but what you can still see is the beautiful mix of glitters. You've got those vivid neon pink matte glitters, you've got matte blue glitters, as well as those amazing flakies. So this is one of those instances where I love the polish, but now I have two bottles that are not as intended. The first I killed, the second the male killed, so rather bummed about this one. It is very pretty in this shade, this very light white leaning blue, but again, not as intended. I do miss the fact that I will never ever again be able to wear this polish as intended, but let's see it on the nail. Here it is swatched in 2 coats with a glossy top coat, and as you can see, once swatched, it did seem to sort of cool down a bit, but it didn't get to that turquoise. This sort of stuck in that middle weird shade of green that my bottle turned to. So this is the cold state, and as you can see, it's a little bit on the greener side than what it was showing up in the bottle. Hopefully that's a bit more noticeable than what I'm seeing on my screen, but there on the nail you can of course see all of the glitter. You get the scattering of the pink glitters in different sizes as well as those matte blue ones. So is this one a disappointment or a regret? Sadly, yes, because this was one of my top picks for the year that it came out. I adored this polish, and I'm just more bummed about the fact that my second bottle arrived DOA, because now, like I said, I can't ever wear that one polish that was so fun to wear in its intended color probably ever again, because I highly doubt this is going to come back again, and if it does, it'll come back again in Rewind in the summer months where it killed this one. So well, it's supposed to be a thermal and mine is not anymore. In any case, that one is Swamp Gloss's Whoa. All right, the second bottle that I did buy as an intentional backup, and this is Restored by Polish's Better Together. You guys, if I had told myself I would have bought a backup of this kind of a color, well, maybe not last year. Maybe last year I wouldn't have been surprised. Let's say 2 years ago. If I had told myself 2 years ago that I would be buying a backup of this kind of color, I probably would have raised an eyebrow. But wow. Wow. This is one that I wore and I adored it. I wore it, I think, right before Polish Pickup Rewind happened, and I was so in love with how it ended up looking on me that I had to grab a bottle once I knew it was coming back as a rewind. So now I have a backup of this. I can now freely wear the previous one as many times as I want. Now, did I need a backup? Probably not. But it was one of those instances that I was just so in love with how it ended up looking on me that I wanted another bottle. So is it a regret that I purchased? Not really. I love the polish, so I don't regret having two. But did I need two? No, I don't need two of probably any bottle because my collection is so large. But at the same time, like I said, I love this polish. It was absolutely gorgeous. To describe it, it's this bright neon shade. It's got that sort of a watermelon coral lean to it, and then it is just jam-packed full of iridescent flakies in a pretty large size, plus it has a scattering of hollow. It's gorgeous. So here it is on the nail in just 2 coats, you guys. This one is perfect in 2 coats. It does have a slight squish factor, but it is not sheer in 2 coats. And this is how I wore it. I wore it in 2 coats, and like I mentioned before, I adored it on. I had so much fun with this color. It was just such a fun, vibrant, poppy shade for summer. I loved it. Still love it. Glad I have 2 bottles, but do I need them? Probably not. But in any case, I mean, look how pretty that is. It is just gorgeous. So that was Restored by Polish Better Together. Then the last polish that I got from Polish Pickup Rewind directly from Polish Pickup is the Wildflower Lacquer, Perhaps a Christmas Gourd. And again, talking about reds, this is a very rare occurrence of me getting a straight up red intentionally, because reds, as I've mentioned before, are definitely sort of outside my comfort zone. And yet I did wear a red recently, which was OPI red, and I loved it. I actually really, really enjoyed it. I don't know why I've been so blocked from thinking that I can or want to wear reds. I don't know. I can't even describe where my headspace is or has been with reds, but now I'm very glad that I did end up grabbing this because everybody else was just raving about this red. It was, of course, popular enough to return for Polish Pickup a Rewind, and it is absolutely gorgeous. It is this larger particle red glow that has a golden shift to it that also shifts to a bit of green at extreme angles. That part, I don't know if that's going to come through on camera, but this has such a glow to it. It is really, really pretty. So here is Perhaps a Christmas Gourd in just 2 coats. And look how glowy this is. Wow. It is quite intense. I will most likely try to remember to double up on my base coats just in case this has a chance of staining or anything, but this is beautiful. This has such an amazing glow, and I don't think I have anything else quite like this in this shade. So very happy to have grabbed this. This definitely does not fall into the regret category because even though it is a red and I am only recently expanding into more shades of red, this was a good grab. I think I'm really going to enjoy this one. So that was Wildflower Lacquer's Perhaps a Christmas Gourd. Then I did end up grabbing their second release that was released on their own website. So I grabbed it when I grabbed the couple from the For the Birds collection and the ones from the Alzheimer Awareness. And this one is straight out of St. Olaf. And this is another instance where I skipped it because it was a red when it was originally released. Now, I don't know if I just wasn't looking at the swatch pictures correctly or if it just looks that different in person, but it's red, but it's not a red. It's one of those shades that has a berry base, and then it is jam-packed full of a shift that has an intense red on the face, at least on camera. But in person, I'm seeing green, I'm seeing gold, I'm seeing orange. That green is vivid. And then the base has more of this dusty, plummy purple, which I love. So let's see this on the nail. Here it is in just 2 coats. This is one that I was exceptionally excited about once I received it and swatched it because it is just gorgeous. Of course, the first coat is more purple. Once you have the second coat, you can see why it was described as a red because that's what you're seeing. It is an intensely vibrant, glowy shade of red. Glad I ended up grabbing this. It is really spectacular. Very different from Perhaps a Christmas Gourd. More so in person, I think, than what is coming across on camera. I think that red glow is just flashing and catching much more predominantly on camera, but in person, they are completely different. The shimmer is different. The type of red is different. The type of particle is completely different. There's more of a dusty quality to Straight Out of St. Olaf, and of course, it has that purple berry lean in the base. You've got more of a darker base in Perhaps a Christmas Gourd. So yeah, 2 new reds adding to my collection, and I don't regret either one. Who knew? That's a surprise to me. So that is Wildflower Lacquer's Straight Out of St. Olaf. And just one more, you guys. We have the last one that I got from the maker's website themselves, and that is Fancy Gloss's Dried Roses. This is another thermal, and I am very thankful to say that this one did not die in transit. Thank goodness. So this one I got directly from Fancy Gloss, and this is an instance where I actually was going to get it when it originally released, and I ended up talking myself out of it. And in fact, when she released a sister polish to it, which basically has the same color shifts but different, I forget if it was different flakies or if it had a hollow component to it, on her own site, I again talked myself out of it. It was one of those polishes that I did sort of kick myself about, and still had on my mind. So when it was available again, I grabbed it. It is a very unusual thermal. It shifts from green to pink, and then it has these beautiful iridescent flakies in it. I'm mainly seeing them in person as green, but you're seeing a golden shift. There's also something that you can see in a scattering of this dark blue. So very pretty, and again, unusual combination there for a shift in a thermal. And here it is in 2 coats with a glossy top coat. This is another instance where I was pretty surprised that it was more opaque than I thought it would be in just these 2 coats. And look at that shade of green. Even just as green, it's warming up already. You can see it there at the edges. It's warming up to my skin tone just from resting on my nail. So you can see that green shifting to, in this case, more of like a peach. Although I do think that in some of the swatches, it was showing up more like a bubblegum pink. So I am curious how this is going to look. I don't recall if this is one that has like a tri-thermal aspect or not, but there you go. Look at that. Wow. Very pretty. Now, on camera, it's coming off like dead on dupe to my own skin tone, but in person, I am seeing a pinch more of a peach quality to it. So again, very unusual thermal properties, and look how reactive and responsive that is. That is impressive. So yeah, that's another non-regret. Like I said, it had been on my mind since its original release, so I finally own it. I'm just going to have to remember to wear it before it dies, because unfortunately that is the nature of thermals. It is a chemical reaction, and the chemical components do break down over time. Now, there is a wide variance of not just brand to brand, but thermal pigment to thermal pigment, how it was shipped, the conditions that it was sitting in your mailbox, how you're storing it when it's in your house, the conditions in your house, etc., etc. There's a million different things that can change the lifespan of a thermal pigment. I've also had a thermal that I bought from someone secondhand from a brand that doesn't exist anymore that was sold to me as a dead thermal that once it was stored in my house for a couple of months, revived itself. Now, it's since died again, but I just thought that that was very interesting. So just something to keep in mind. I wouldn't overdo it with thermals. Point being, I need to wear this before it dies. I love this color. I think it's very unique. So that is Fancy Gloss's Dried Roses. So there you have it. Wow, that was 2 hours worth of filming for all of these months of backlogged polish pickup hauls, as well as a number of brands that I bought from over the course of the month of Polish Pickup Rewind for July 2023. If you stuck around this long, thank you so much. Hopefully you enjoyed. Hopefully you liked the addition of my Is It a Regret or Not? Let me know what you think about that down below. Like I mentioned, I have been trying over the last month and a half or so, sticking to a low buy and really being more thoughtful and intentional about each polish that I do choose to bring into my collection. I am swimming in polish at this point. It is, of course, a problem that I've brought upon myself, so I can't really complain about it. I just do recognize it and am trying to rectify that situation going forward so that I don't continue to just bombard myself with polish that I can't really appreciate because I haven't appreciated the polish that I already have. So in any case, hopefully you all enjoyed hanging out with me for a bit and looking at beautiful polish as always. Hopefully you have a good rest of your day, a good rest of your weekend, and I will see you in that next one.